Hello, everybody. Mr. D here. We're going to look at Unit 11, Lesson 1, pages 294 to 300 in your grammar textbook. In this lesson, we're going to learn and practice subject-relative clauses. We're going to answer what are they, and then look at the verb agreement within them. So first, what are subject-relative clauses? Well, a sentence with a relative clause or an adjective clause combines two sentences or ideas. For example, we have two sentences here. I met the man, he organized the tour. If we combine them with a relative clause, it looks like this. I met the man who organized the tour. So who organized the tour is the relative clause. A relative clause describes a noun or a pronoun, and it usually comes after the noun or pronoun that it describes. So another example, the people that asked me about Jordan have left. So that middle part is the relative clause, that asked me about Jordan. And what does it describe? It describes the people in yellow, okay? So one sentence is, the people have left. That's a good sentence. But we add a relative clause to describe the people. So which people? The people that asked me about Jordan. Another example, we welcome everyone who visits our home. So who visits our home is the relative clause, and it describes everyone. So a subject relative clause begins with a relative pronoun, that, which, or who. Use that or who for people. So I know someone who lives in Jordan. Okay, who is the relative pronoun, and who lives in Jordan describes someone. Many people that live here speak French. So the relative clause that live here describes people. And use that or which for places, things, and animals. The book that's on the table is Carla's. So which book? That's on the table. Okay, so the relative clause is that's on the table. The photos which show the Nile are amazing. Okay, so here, which show the Nile is the relative clause, and it describes the photos. In a subject relative clause, the relative pronoun is the subject of the clause, and the relative pronoun is followed by a verb. So it's like a sentence. I like the guide who showed us the sights. So who is the subject of the relative clause. And then we have the verb, showed, who showed, okay? And who showed us the sights is describing the guide. She wants something that will remind her of her trip. So that will remind her of her trip is the relative clause, and it describes something. And that is the subject. And then we have the verb will remind. Subject relative clauses can come at the end or in the middle of a sentence. So if they come after the main clause, it looks like this. We met the woman who owns the shop. So it comes at the end. But sometimes it's inside. The tour that left at noon was great. So that left at noon is the relative clause, and we see it's in the middle. So the tour that left at noon was great. Okay, so now you know what a subject relative clause is. Let's look at the verb agreement inside. So the verb in the subject relative clause agrees with the noun it describes. For example, I have a friend who likes traveling. So friend is singular. So the verb in the relative clause is singular. Who likes? It's incorrect to say, I have a friend who like traveling. Okay, the verbs need to agree. Same for plural. I have friends who like traveling. Okay, so friends is plural. So we use the plural form, like. So it's incorrect to say, I have friends who likes traveling. Okay, so just like any other sentence, the subject and the verb have to agree. Be careful. The verb in the main clause always agrees with the subject of the main clause. So as we just said, here we go. The map that shows the sites looks very old. So what is the main clause? The main clause is the map looks very old. So map singular looks with S. The relative clause that shows the sites, it's singular too. So we use the S, that shows. So the map that shows the sites looks very old. And be careful, do not repeat the subject in a relative clause. So this is incorrect. Where's the book that it has the map of Egypt? Incorrect. Where's the book that has the map of Egypt? So remember, the relative pronoun, that is the subject. So we don't need two subjects. Like in the first example, that it has, that's two subjects in a row. We can't do that. So no double subjects. Okay, so please do your classwork to practice this information and turn it in on Canvas. Thank you.